So today we're going to walk a duplex in northern Denver. This is one Terrance recently just purchased with doing the BRRRR strategy in mind. So buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat. So he purchased his property for about $394,000. He was able to use private money to take it down, so 0% out of his pocket and 8% interest rate. And as you're about to see for the rehab, it needs minimal work, so less than $10,000 worth of work. Get that done here next couple of weeks and then rent it out. And after that's been seasoned for a bit, he'll then do a refinance into a longer term mortgage for better cash flow and hopefully just repeat it. So on the ARV side, it'll take about less than $10,000 for the rehab. He bought for about in the mid 390s. The ARV should be around $500,000. So a nice spread there to pull some cash out and also leave equity in there to do the refinance. All right, let's go meet our guest and walk the property, and then we'll dive in the numbers at the end of the show at the BP BiggerPockets calculator. What's up, guys?
What's going on, man? You ready to go in and check out this property?
I am.
All right, let's go. Let's go, boys. Jump in. All right, so here we are inside the duplex. I got my buddies Timothy Olari from Sacramento, California, his brother Ife from Dayton, Ohio. Ife is a new investor. He owns 2 or 3 properties, 1 commercial, 2 rentals. He's looking to get more into multifamily. Tim actually used to work for us, helped us find a bunch of great deals back in the day. He now lives in Sacramento, as I said, and him and his wife are looking to purchase their first house hack, which I'm super excited about because we've been talking about for multiple years, and I think it's gonna be a really great move. So Tim's out here trying to see what we're doing, how we're able to generate income, and this is actually would qualify as a great house hack. It's a duplex that we just picked up. I'm super excited about it. And we just started swinging hammers here and painting. So we're kind of in the middle of construction, and we can kind of walk through what we're doing and show you guys how we're gonna make this deal work.
Good.
I like the new concept here of the appliances in the living room. So this is 2021.
This is post-COVID rentals. We're gonna try and put the kitchen and the laundry room in the living room and see how that does on carpet long term, see if we attract maybe some more in rent.
Make sure you write this down, all right? Pro tips here.
We're gonna see how that goes. No, we just moved it out so that we could patch. We had, as you'll see in the other one, there was some settling. So we've actually purchased in this neighborhood before. We've really liked it. So one of our team members was mining this area because we have another rental down the street, and we were just trying to. And these are just for my personal portfolio, just long-term holds for me. So I take them down with private money, 100% cash. We add the value, rent them. And then in 6 to 7 months, we'll refinance and pull the majority of the equity out, right? So the BRRRR method, and I'm just doing this on my own, no investors. And so what I'm looking for is just an 8% yield, right? So it's just an 8% return on the total cost of the project, which we can go over, in the office after. So we're gonna spend as little money as possible. So what I liked about this deal was, first of all, the location, because it's close to some other rentals we have. Number 2, I like that it's a side-by-side duplex. So in Denver, there's a zoning rule that allows you to party wall each side and sell them individually. So what's nice is it checks both boxes for me. Is it's going to cash flow really well month to month, and then 2, I'll have equity in it because as Chris said, we bought it for $394, but on this street, several of the other landlords and owners have actually separated them and sold them individually without garages and without the backyard. They sold for $240. So each side. So what I like is we could probably sell each side for $250. So we have instant equity and it has cash flow. So it checks both the boxes of what I'm looking for in my personal portfolio. So let's check out the kitchen and we can kind of go over the scope of work.
Sweet.
So what I like about this property was the layout and the size, right? So it's a really good sized kitchen, almost could be a dining room if it's a single or a young couple. So the other thing is it's in good shape. So traditionally in a higher end property, if I was going to sell it, we would renovate everything. Since this is going to be a long-term hold for myself, there's no need to really, the less is more, really, right? I'm trying to make it clean, comfortable, and spend as little money as possible just to get the right tenant in here. So we'll clean the tile, we'll clean the grout, no need to redo it. We patch some of the drywall. So in the property next door, you'll see there were some cracks from settling. Just in this area, because the soil, it settled 20, 30 years ago, the settling's done. So there were some cracks. So we patched it, texture and paint, and we're just gonna paint it all the same tone. So in these kind of rentals, no need to do 2 or 3 different colors and get artsy. Just one color. I like to go an off-white, so it's kind of a little bit of a gray. And so we'll do that on the ceiling, on the walls, and on the baseboard, right? And then as you can see, these cabinets are outdated, but they're clean. right? So so on this one, and they have the copper fixtures, so I won't even have to touch those. So I'm literally just gonna clean these cabinets, not paint them, not do anything, and they'll be serviceable. On the countertops, we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna stain these. It'll be a dark charcoal. We talked about it before. In different rentals, higher end, or in a different demographic, we would do granite or quartz to hit our market rent number. Here, we're just gonna stain this. It'll cost $250 to stain the countertop, and it'll come out looking brand new. And then these white appliances, we're gonna try and clean them and save them. If not, we'll go back with white. So that will be an area, if we had to go brand new white, we'd spend roughly $800. We're gonna try and clean them to salvage them first, and we'll see how that goes. And then over here you can see, the other great thing about this property is it's got washer and dryer built in, right? So what's nice is someone can come in, they're gonna have a garage, they have the swamp cooler, they have forced heat, they're gonna have a clean unit, pretty good size, and then they're gonna have in-unit washer dryer, which is a big deal. In this part of Denver, we get an extra $100 to $125 a month having in-unit washer dryer. So that's worth a lot from a cash flow perspective. So that's another reason why when I saw this, I was like, this is a deal. It already had it all hooked up, and it even came with the washer and dryer. So I'm just gonna clean those, they work, and spend as little as possible. Yeah. Any questions on that?
Sounds like you're making it clean, comfortable, so you can cash flow.
That's right. That's the name of the game. There's no need to get artsy.
The three C's.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
So what's your, how much is the kitchen gonna cost you to turn?
For this entire unit, we're gonna spend $2,700 labor and materials, the entire unit.
So just this side, huh?
This side, yeah. The other side, I think might be a little bit more. We'll go over there and see the cracks are a little bit deeper. So we're actually gonna be under the 10 that we had budgeted, and then we're closer to 8, which is great. So we'll be all in, I think, just over $400,000, which is phenomenal. Less is more in these kind of rentals. If it's a long-term hold, you just want to make it clean, safe, comfortable, so you can get the tenant in and they can stay long-term. And again, on these ones, Ife, I'm not really trying to push rents, right? In the area, some people are getting $1,600, $1,650. Some people are getting $14. So we're going to try and get $14.95, $50 in rubs to cover the water, sewer, trash, which we'll go over later. And hopefully I'll have a tenant here for 2, 3, 4 years that's really content, they enjoy it, and I won't have to worry about replacing tenants.
I'm not from the Denver area, obviously. What is this that we have right here?
That's just a fan.
That's just the kitchen fan?
Yeah, it's just a kitchen fan. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, because the range will go here.
Okay.
The gas range, so that's the fan.
But here in Denver, we have swamp coolers, which you don't have in Ohio.
Yeah.
You know what swamp coolers are?
I have water cooling or something like that?
They're basically like ACs.
Okay.
They only work in low humidity environments.
Oh,
but they're way cheaper than ACs.
Than AC.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they just kick out cold air.
Yeah.
And for this part of town, that's perfectly fine. So, well, let's check out the rest of the unit. Okay, so Tim, the key here, like we talked about, is spend as little money as possible. Yeah. We just want to make it clean and have it look good. So what we're gonna do is stain the tile. The tile's in good shape. There's not mold, not rot. The grout's still pretty good. So we can just stain this white from the same company that's gonna stain the countertops. It'll cost us $125, $150. We will change out the plumbing fixtures, right? But we're gonna keep the tile. The plumbing fixtures will run us around $100, and it'll be brushed nickel. So the same thing, it's all gonna match. So even in a rental, I want it all to match. One is economies of scale. We buy all the same stuff, so we can use it in a bunch of different rentals. Helps us stay organized, and it keeps our costs down. On the vanity's in good shape. We're gonna clean that. It's already got a brushed nickel faucet. We'll change out the mirror and the light fixture. We already did the toilet, so the toilet's they already swapped that out. The tile we're just gonna clean. There's no need to go with new tile. And then we will, as you can see, the tub here. So if we were to replace this tub, we'd actually have to take out 2 layers of the tile. So then we'd have to just replace it. So we're actually just gonna stain the tub. Okay. So again, we're gonna stain the tub. It'll be around $150. And that's gonna save us from having to remove all the tile, and change out the tile in the tub. Yeah. So even though I'd like to replace the tub because it is in pretty rough shape, we're just gonna stain it and clean it, and we'll recaulk. As you can see, there's been some water damage down there, so we're gonna clean that up. We'll recaulk it, remove the old caulking, and have it just look clean, and it'll feel like a new tub, even though it won't be.
Yeah. Well, this is good. And you said the demographic for this is single folks, young families.
Yeah, it'll be so 2 bed, 1 bath with a garage. It could be a family with a young child, newly married couple. There's a bunch of businesses within a mile and a half of here. So yeah, someone that is wanting to get out of the city, probably has a job around here, and either newly married or a young family, and this should be really affordable for them, and it'll be one of the nicer units in the neighborhood.
I like it.
But that is the right question to ask. I'm always thinking, who's the tenant for this property, right?
Yeah.
When I'm building it out and looking to buy it and renovate, I'm always asking myself, who is going to live here? Who's the tenant?
Yeah.
To make sure it's the right property to purchase.
That makes
If
sense.
you can't answer that, you need to not buy the property until you can answer that question. So that's a great point. All right, let's check out the bedrooms. So as you guys can see, it's a pretty good sized bedroom. So we've talked a lot about you have to look at the size of the bedrooms when you're looking at rents and trying to underwrite properties. So again, a really good sized bedroom, enough space for a king bed, nightstand, TV, whatever they're gonna want in here. Good sized closet. And we did the same thing. We just painted it all one color. No need to get artsy or fancy. Just make sure the paint looks really clean and adds a lot to how the property is gonna view when someone comes in to look at it. It came with it had an old fan, so we replaced the fan. Since it doesn't have AC and the swamp cooler's in the living room, a fan here makes sense. This is about $150, I believe. And then, as you guys know, I'm not a big fan of carpet. This carpet actually was not in bad shape, so we're just gonna clean it. We can get it cleaned. We'll use a company I actually used to work for, OxyFresh Carpet Cleaning. They'll do a great job. It's really environmentally friendly. It'll be dried in an hour, so we can move tenants in the next day. And it's gonna look like new carpet. So I'm not a fan of carpet, but it doesn't make sense to replace because it's in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
So once it gets worn out, though, are you going to when it's
Absolutely, yeah.
you rip it out and just put LVT down?
That's right. Once it is worn, so hopefully if a tenant's here 4 or 5 years, in 4 or 5 years, replace it, and it just saves me the money now having to be in, and hopefully the area appreciates in 4 or 5 years. Maybe I'm selling it, or maybe the tenant's staying longer. But yeah, as long as it's like this, it'll last hopefully another 1 or 2 tenants, depending on how they take care of it. Let's go check out the other unit. Okay, so here we are in the second side of the duplex, and as the tenant actually just moved out.
Wow.
And you can see when I walked in this morning, I was pleasantly surprised. I've actually never seen, I just texted the gentleman that I purchased the property from, I've never seen a unit in this good of shape when someone moves out. I mean, this tenant should be held
even
in
got
very
the
high regard.
vacuum
She needs to have a
streaks
no, I
on
know.
the carpet
She did a
too.
phenomenal job. So she left the carpet in good shape, the kitchen, the bathroom. It even smelled good in the bathroom, which is unheard of. So as you guys can see here, there's not much to do. The only thing we are going to do in this room is, as you can see, there's some settling that we talked about because of the area and the soils. So we will patch this, and then we are going to end up having to repaint just because I can't get this paint color. I don't think they make it anymore. So we are going to have to patch this and repaint the entire room, which will be unfortunate. And then you can see there's another crack up there.
So how do you know that it's not going to continue cracking and settling?
Yeah. So because of my experience in the neighborhood, I've probably bought and sold maybe 6 or 7 of these similar type properties within like a mile of here, and they all had kind of the same cracks when we walked in. So I know it's just something typical with the location. It's nothing serious, but if I didn't know the location and that this was typical for these kind of properties and the way they were built, you go in the crawl space, and what I did was I went in the crawl space with my inspector. We had flashlights, and we had to crawl. It was like 3.5 feet, right? So you had to duck down. And what I'm looking at with the flashlight is the foundation. And if I see horizontal cracks, then I know it's a lot more serious problem. But the foundation looked perfect. There was maybe some small hairline fractures, and they were going vertical. Okay. Now, if you see, and I like to say like thicker than your finger and horizontal, then I think you need to get an engineer out to look at it. So I did that just as a precaution to look. Good. But when I walked in, I knew that that was something we could fix. Now we still had to, it was actually an inspection item. So when we bought this property, he wanted to close in 7 days. So I had like 48 hours to do my inspection. So I personally came over here with our GC and we looked at it. So when I walked in, I was familiar with that because I've seen it a lot. So I look at the exterior to see how the brick is, what kind of condition. The brick looks in great shape, and then I look at the foundation. Those are the 2 things. Because the foundation checks out, I know it's not a serious problem, and we can move forward with purchasing the property.
Yeah, because the foundation can make or break.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, if you don't look at that, foundation can be $15,000, $20,000 redoing that. They can totally kill the return.
Heating, cooling, baseboard.
So this is forced heat. So each one has a furnace, and then they have the swamp cooler, which Chris talked about earlier, which is kind of special to our climate. So in like the Midwest where I'm from, it's just all AC because it's so humid. But here, because it's so dry, they use a swamp cooler. This is actually in pretty good shape. We'll clean it, service it, but these things can run for a long time. They're not very sexy to look at, but they're functional. And for like, again, in this neighborhood, this kind of this class of tenant with who our demographic is, we don't need to install AC. If this was in a different part of Denver, higher end, and we're getting $2,000 or more, then we would need to install AC.
Even a lot of houses that are being sold right now, I mean, they're sold with swamp coolers, and that's normal. And they're, $400,000 houses up in this part of town.
That's right. right, let's check out the kitchen. In the kitchen, they actually already have stainless steel appliances. We're gonna save on the appliances here. We may have to replace the washer there that is a little bit older. And they actually don't have a dryer, so we're gonna see how it rents without a dryer. We may have to install that, and we would install it most likely right there and run the 220.
Here by the window?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right next to the register. So you can see the countertops are in good shape, the cabinets. We may change out the fixtures just because these annoy me, these little circles. Not really necessary, it's just more of a pet peeve of mine. But other than that, it's in really, really good shape. We could clean the vent a little bit better. We'll patch the drywall that we talked about. And other than that, there's nothing really else to do here.
Got a modern sink already in there?
We already have the updated plumbing fixture. We have some backsplash there. So you can see this tenant and the landlord's taking care of this side, and we're gonna spend really little. We're just gonna paint and patch those cracks and replace the washer. So pretty simple. So again, when I'm doing my due diligence, I'm coming in here knowing it's gonna be a long-term rental. If this would have been $25,000 or $30,000 worth of work, the numbers wouldn't have worked. But because it was so little and I could do it in a short amount of time, it made a lot of sense. So I'm always looking, when I'm underwriting properties like this that are longer-term holds, I'm looking, what am I gonna buy it for? How much do I have to put into it? And as long as that return is 8% or greater, then it makes sense on the total cost.
Yeah, for a duplex under $400,000 in this good a shape, this is a great deal.
It's a great deal, and it comes with the garages and the driveway. As you can see on the street, which we'll show, later, everyone has street parking, and we actually have 2 driveways with garages. So yeah, those little things made it even more of a deal when I walked in, and that's why we were willing to close so quickly. So the buyer or the seller of this property actually bought a portfolio of properties, and he had hard money on it. So he was highly motivated to get rid of it quickly because he just wanted 1 or 2 pieces of the portfolio, but he had to buy this in order to get the other ones. And so he was just looking to get rid of these. So we were able to close quickly. He knew that we could close quickly, and so it allowed us to get it a number that worked for us, and it worked for him.
Sweet.
Let's check out the other bedrooms and the bathroom. So here we are, Tim and Terrance again in the bathroom. Tim is in the bathroom, he's got the sports coat on, so it's appropriate for him to be here. So as we just commented, there's very little to do here, right? It's really clean, it's got a brand new toilet, the paint looks good, the drywall looks good, the tile looks pretty good. I think we can clean up some of the grout. Even the plumbing fixture right there looks new. Yeah. So we don't have to, I will want to change this out just because it annoys me, and if I was a tenant, I would want a brand new shower head. So we will change that out. Other than that, we will change out the mirror, maybe a new light fixture there, and that'll be about it. We'll stain the tub as well. So primarily in these kind of age properties that are 20, 30, 40 years old, we're having to replace or stain the tubs. This one doesn't have that much water damage, and it's in pretty decent shape. So we can just stain this and it'll look brand new.
How important is it for you, so like a duplex like this, to have consistency in the 2 units, for them to look the same? Is that important, or it doesn't really matter?
It's not that big of a deal. I mean, I think this tile was different than the other one. The tile floor is different. It's not that big of a deal. As long as it's clean and in good shape and something that I would feel comfortable living in, that's the most important thing. Sure. In apartment complexes that are larger, I think having continuity makes more sense when you're having to change things out. Yeah. So having the same toilets, same vanities, same light fixtures, so you can store them in case something happens. But in a duplex, in a property this size, it's not. The most important thing is the condition and making sure it's clean. That's what tenants are really looking for.
Sure. Would you keep the bars or no?
Yeah, I think the bars are fine. Yeah, they're not in bad shape.
Good.
All right, let's check out the bedrooms. So here we are in the smaller bedroom, still good size. Like we've talked about, size really matters. You got to make sure that it's got enough room for bed or bunk bed. This is going to be where the kids are sleeping. So I'm looking at, when I'm walking in to do inspection, I'm looking at the texture of the wall, how much patching am I going to have to do? As you can see in this room, almost nothing. Even though I don't love this paint color, it's kind of like a baby blue purple hue. It looks good enough to where you don't have to touch it. So again, less is more. This is good enough. It's not going to impact rents one way or another if we did paint it. So then there's no reason to do it. The carpet looks brand new. So this again is one of the reasons why this is a home run. There's just not that many things that we have to do here to get this rented.
I did have a question though, just when you're measuring and deciding for fans and whatnot. This is what, 7.5, 8 foot ceiling? Where do you decide the cutoff is? I'm not putting a fan in here, or how do you determine what spaces need fans and what don't?
Great question.
Thank you.
That's right on. So what I look at is if the unit does not have AC, right? And it's not gonna feel the cool air from the swamp cooler. This is disconnected, it's several hallways away, door shut, then we wanna put a fan in. So if the unit had AC, we wouldn't need to, but because it just has forced heat and no AC, there's not gonna be really a way to get cool air in here, and it gets really hot in the summer, so the fan makes sense. But if it had AC, we wouldn't need to do it. Or if it was closer and it was kind of an open passage to where the swamp cooler is to get some of the cold air, we wouldn't need to do it. But because it's just a window unit swamp cooler, sometimes they put them on the roof and it goes to the whole house and just like dumps cold air, and then this room would get it. But because it's in the window in the front of the house, exactly, we wouldn't get it.
So one of the big differences, obviously, from the other units to this one is that there's not a lot of work that has to be done here.
That's right.
But we already saw work was happening on the last one. So how were you able to start work so quickly in that other unit after closing?
So what we try and do, because we're paying private money, right? So we're paying 8%. So every month, I think it's roughly $2,600 we're paying. So time is money. So the longer it takes us to do construction, the longer it is for me to start getting cash flow, and I'm paying, and the clock is ticking, right? On that private money. So I try and time the closing with when we can start construction. So on this one, I didn't really have much of a choice, because to get the number, we had to close on his time frame. But thankfully, we had a crew ready to go, and we were able to start the day that we closed. That way we can finish. Hopefully this will be done. That unit should be done Tuesday, Wednesday. We could take pictures of this unit on Monday, hopefully have an application in by the weekend, and we can start collecting rent 1st of September. So it's just, and incrementally over, one property, maybe that's $2,600 that I'm missing out on, but over the course of 10, 20, 30 deals, that ends up being a lot of money. $2,500 times 20 deals is over $50,000. So all those little decisions add up to a lot of money over the course of time. So just trying to be really intentional about timing construction with when we're going to close to cut down on that cost of private money.
Nice.
Makes sense.
Yeah, all those dollars add up. All right, let's go check out the exterior. So here we are, we're gonna look at the exterior. So normally I love to paint brick. You guys have seen some of my renovations. I think painting brick really makes the property stand out. Because it's gonna be a long-term hold, painting brick makes no sense here. It's not gonna add to the rental value, it's not gonna add to the value of the home, and I'm not trying to sell it anytime soon, so there's no reason to do that. So I'm not gonna paint the brick. What I will do, and one of my pet peeves is numbers, so we will do some new address numbers, we'll do a new light fixture, and then we'll do a mailbox right below it. That's kind of one of my signatures. I like to do a new light fixture with updated address numbers and a mailbox.
Roof is pretty good.
The roof is good. We did a sewer scope. We're gonna have to fix some things. There was a crack in the line and some other things, so we'll get the sewer repaired. But other than that, not much out here.
What are you gonna do for landscaping?
Nothing.
Nothing.
No, the landscaping will be on the tenant's responsibility, so they'll have to mow it. On anything duplex or single family, the tenants take care of it. Anything larger than 4 units or larger, the landlord has to take care of. So we won't do anything. Again, if I spent $4,000 and just made this thing look amazing with like some incredible roses and mulch, it would do nothing to the value of the rent or the property. So there's no need to do it.
Same thing with mailboxes?
Mailboxes doesn't add very much value, but it's just a personal thing for me, and it's like a $20 item.
Gotcha.
Something else great to point out is just, we are 2 lots down from the street here, other side of the street. Bunch of new build stuff.
Yeah.
Class A new build stuff.
Yeah, it's a 100 unit brand new. Yeah, just
and that's always good
sign.
signs, because if that just shows neighbors turning, the areas turning out. This is a great long-term area.
That's right. Yeah. Cool. Let's go check out the backyard, because the backyard's really big. So here we are in the backyard. As you can see, this is not typical what you see in a duplex rental. The gazebo came with the property, has a really good size for kids to play, dogs to play. They could even have their own little garden. And bonus, that wasn't even marketed with the property when we initially looked at it, was a garage. So each side has its own 1.5 car garage, storage and for their car. And the concrete was just poured like 2 years ago.
Wow.
So taking into account the backyard space, this is like a nice family area, the new concrete and the garage, it just, again, and we don't have to do anything in the garage. Everything's fine in there. The electrical's good, the roof is good. So it's just turnkey.
Gotcha. Do you guys would you do anything with the fence?
So if I was gonna when I'm go to sell it, that would probably be an inspection item that comes up, but just for a rental, it's not gonna matter. It won't affect the rental rate. It's not gonna affect the class of tenant. It's not really gonna matter. It's good enough.
Yeah.
If they have pets, they're not gonna go to the other side. And it's even one of those things that a tenant, if they got annoyed with it, they could just fix on their own, and it's just not worth fixing right now. Now, when you go to sell a property like this, that would definitely come up, but there's no need to do it if we're going to hold it long term.
So earlier you mentioned an inspection of the foundation. You went in with your GC and did the crawl space. Is there access on both sides to the crawl space?
So right, it's on each side of the duplex, left side here and then the right side there. Okay. Yeah.
And you're not going to crawl today?
We'll come back and do that. Yeah. And if I can use your jacket, I'll crawl. There's a lot of cobwebs in there.
Yeah.
Protect you for sure.
Protect me,
Yeah.
Sounds like a good plan.
So one of the things to really remember here, the takeaways is, when you're looking at a property, some people get carried away with renovations. So, if you're flipping a property, it's a much different scope of work than if you're renting it, right? And you always have to keep the tenant in mind. So I'm always thinking, who's the tenant and what are they gonna want? What are they gonna look for? So, and that's something that you gain over time experience, but if you don't have the experience, right? Like if you're starting out and trying to grow your portfolio in Dayton, bring in a property manager that knows that area, walk it with them and say, hey, should I do something here? Should I do with the fence? Should I do the faucets? And they should be able to tell you. And if they can't tell you, then get a different property manager. Because they should be able to tell you exactly what needs to be done to get the tenant. Less is more in a long-term rental.
And I was thinking, the PMs, they're the best advice for like the rent-ready costs.
Okay.
Like, I that's my first go-to for GCs and rent PMs. Oh yeah, do this, and this, you'll get this rent here. They know
100%.
it. Yeah.
Because a lot of people like to get carried away with renovation, and they think that if I add this artsy backsplash or this artsy countertop or this or that, and it adds zero value to the property or to the rental income. So you want to make sure that the dollars you spend are really going to make an impact.
So what advice would you have for me? So my wife and I are currently in the market for a duplex or some type of house hack. This is really good information by way of what to think about. But would you say we should get something that's more turnkey, things are already updated, or get something that's more of a deal that needs a little bit of a fixing up? We do our side, we do the other side. What kind of advice would you have for someone like myself?
So you're going to get more value and have more equity if you buy something and you put in some sweat equity and create the equity on your own instead of trying to wait for appreciation. So I prefer, especially on something cosmetic like this, like if you could find something that's outdated that maybe you have to spend $5,000 or $10,000 aside, I think it's going to pay off for you long term. You'll be able to have instant equity in the property. Now you may have to spend a little bit more time rehabbing it, but again, you're going to have the back end value. And for you and your wife, like we've talked about, trying to do this every 2 or 3 years to sell your primary tax-free, I mean, I would do that just because you're going to get that value back times 2 or 3 when you go to sell it. So I love this strategy for someone in your position. You and your family can live on one side, been really comfortable for you and your family, and it can generate income on the other side, which lowers your debt and just creates more cash flow and more, and ultimately more freedom for you and your family, which is what the goal is of real estate.
And actually, it's interesting. I know that BiggerPockets has a calculator that makes all of this a lot easier, and I've used it on some of my deals. And typically when I've used it, it's because I want to present it to another investor, but you're investing in yourself.
Just
so being able to plug those numbers in, right? Just being able to
absolutely
tap into the different calculators.
Yeah, Tim, you can use our discount code. You can become a pro member. You have access to the calculator. So I know tomorrow after we go over the numbers, I think you're going to sign up once you see that calculator.
That's the plan.
Yeah, we got 20% off.
What?
Yeah, using our discount code. We'll share it in the show notes.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right, guys. I think that we covered this. Let's go get some lunch.
Let's do it.
All right, guys, we are about to run through the numbers and how Terrance took down this duplex. So we got our guests in the studio, Terrance, Tim, and Ife in here to talk about it. So Terrance, give us a quick rundown. How did you acquire this property?
So as you'll recall, we took down a home in Denver a month ago that we toured, Irving Street.
And that was one with the ADU.
It had an ADU, that's right. So then we were mining that area just because of economies of scale and efficiencies. And so if we're doing construction there and we have property management there, if there's other areas, other properties in the area that fit our box. So we came across this duplex. It's side by side.
You said mining. What do you mean? Like where you have some knocking on doors, put out flyers?
We were knocking on doors, putting out flyers, making calls to other agents we know, saying, hey, what do you have in this area? This is what we're looking for. And
this is your acquisitions person, right?
Acquisitions person, me, our whole team, just putting the word out there. And naturally with, we've been doing it long enough now that, I just sends a couple texts, a couple phone calls. Hey, this is what we're doing. What do you have in this area? And so one of the girls that works on our team came across this duplex. A gentleman who's an investor in Denver had bought a portfolio of single family and duplexes from an investor that was a legacy investor, and they were looking to get out. And so he bought, I think, 6 or 7 properties and didn't want these duplexes. And so this one fit our box. It was in this area. It was side by side, which is really attractive in Denver because you can actually party wall it and down the road sell them individually. So I could sell them as 2 separate residences. So that initially caught my interest. The location caught my interest because it was really close to another property that we had just purchased. And the cash flow numbers really worked. So the 2 boxes that checked for me was the equity, is if we needed to sell or wanted to sell, we could separate them and sell them individually and have a significant amount of equity. And then also from a cash flow perspective, it hit our numbers and it was a great return on monthly cash flow.
All right. So let's plug it into the spreadsheet here. So I'm going to BiggerPockets. We'll just name this Duplex BRRRR. And we got the spreadsheet here as well. So annual property taxes on here, $1,785. You're in Ohio, right?
I am.
What are your taxes out there?
It depends on where you live. That's how bad it is.
Probably higher than that, right?
Yeah. It's, we have, we're talking in some areas 2.4%.
Wow.
Yeah, some of the
highest in the country then.
Yeah, no, it's up
really
there.
high.
Because Denver's like usually 0.5%.
Yeah, 0.5. That's right.
Yeah.
So you must have really good schools and really good
We should.
law enforcement. Yeah,
We should.
You're paying all that in taxes.
Yeah,
You
certain
should.
areas. It's the areas. It's very segmented. They've broken the city up into about 9 different smaller villages, for lack of a better term, that all have their own property tax rates. So,
all right. So we got taxes in here. We're leaving this other stuff blank just for convenience. But if you're actually putting this together for an investor, you want to fill it out. So purchase price, Terrance, you are taking us down for.
We got a loan for $400, but we actually bought it for $394.
So $394.
Yeah.
What's your ARV?
$500.
And your purchase closing costs here on the takedown, is that?
It's just closing. It was just the title. It was, I think,
what,
maybe,
1,500?
Yeah, yeah, you can put 1,500. Yeah.
Estimated repair cost?
6,000.
What, you paint and carpet?
Not even that. Yeah, like paint. We repaired some drywall. We installed a new vanity. We put new mailboxes. Yeah, I'm big on mailboxes.
Yeah?
Yeah, curb appeal. Mailboxes and address numbers. Yeah.
Doing a mural on the mailboxes?
No mural. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I've seen a lot of mural.
So down payment on the takedown.
0.
And this was
We used private money.
Yep. 8%.
That's right. 8%.
So points 0.
0.
Other charges 0, right?
0.
I mean, no, that doesn't matter. Interest only?
Yes.
No PMI.
That's right.
What?
6.
6 months to refinance. I mean, rehab time 1 month.
Yeah.
So private money is just some person gave you $400,000.
Yes. Basically, you got hard money that's more institutional, more organized. You know, you're gonna have to go through underwriting. They're gonna be more expensive. They're gonna charge points. I mean, it's a real business.
Yeah.
Hard money. Private money is, wealthy individuals that I built a relationship with that understand our business model, want monthly cash flow, lower risk, but they get the first position in the property. So they have a deed of trust. So if something were to happen, if I defaulted for any reason, they own this property at their basis, at the loan amount, and we pay them monthly interest. So it's just a private individual. So it's a little bit more expensive than a bank, but they don't have the fees. And we were able to close, and this literally came together in 7 or 8 days. So I think we put under contract on Monday or Tuesday, and we close next Tuesday.
So just like speed, like, so when you decide, hey, I need to use private money versus hard money.
Speed, and then just cost, because 8%, it still is going to make sense roughly from a cash flow perspective after the rents.
I mean,
So
what are the hard money terms right now? If you take this hard money.
I mean, if you talk to Pine Financial, our boy Justin Cooper over there, he's 12% and 2 points no matter what.
Yeah. And
So
so
it's
2 points for the upfront money. So
2 points, that's $8,000 just right on the front end, plus 12%. So I got 8% and no points. So it's substantially cheaper.
Yeah.
And they will only do maybe 80 to 90% of the purchase and then 100% of construction. And here I'm getting 100% of the purchase price.
So with your interest only payments, is there any sort of waiting period, or you close Friday, first check is due next month?
Depends on your structure with the private money.
So everything is different, but we'll start the first payment. It will be October 1st, and we'll just pay for the 15 days that we had in August.
Noted.
And wrap that into the October 1st payment.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So on the takeout loan, what's the
400.
400,000 is going to be the takeout amount.
Right.
And 3.85.
Yeah, we got that quoted by a local bank.
So other, I mean, will it be a
So there
point of
will
this?
be a 1% fee there.
So probably what, 5,000 with title?
Yeah, 5,000. Yeah, I like that.
He'll probably pay the
Pay
points
it,
out of
yeah.
pocket, right? And this will probably
No, it'll be with the. It will not be interest only.
okay.
We'll be paying.
Because this will be
we'll be
your
paying
long-term
principal.
debt,
That'll be
yeah.
long term. Yep.
So no PMI,
That's right. 30-year.
30-year amortization, and a cap rate for this area.
What do you think? 7, 6.5?
Oh, it's gonna be lower than that for a duplex up there.
What do you think it is?
5.5.
Oh, 5.5. Okay.
Yeah.
This is a commercial loan. This refinance.
It'll be a commercial loan. That's right. Yeah.
So it won't be a 30-year conventional fixed.
Yeah.
It won't be.
Yeah.
It will not be that unless I put it in my personal name because I have so many mortgages. It'll be a commercial loan and it'll be a portfolio. So we'll actually refinance several properties that we have that are kind of similar, and we'll put them all into one.
Yeah,
loan.
because I know. I mean, I don't know what the theory or term is, but when you have 5 doors or less, you could do a traditional, conventional mortgage.
right.
Yep.
And with this being a duplex, I mean, you might. Cause I was looking at those interest rates; those are some good interest rates.
So
As it is on the commercial side.
yeah, I mean
That's a really good point.
yeah. So for the residential side, it's like 4 units or less. You can have up to 10 loans.
Okay, 4. Yep.
Yeah.
But they have to loan into your personal name.
Mm.
And so where this, if you do a commercial loan, they'll loan directly into
Our
Terrance
LLC.
LLC
Yeah.
or whatever
Yeah.
it's called. And that way, just more liability protection.
Yeah.
That's right.
And better for just structuring things.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And so with the local banks and with our track record, we'll be able to get a 30-year AM note and about the same interest rate. Now, if you're going FHA or so, you'd put 3.5% down, and you could probably get in the mid to low 3s right now.
Oh, right now, no, dude, it's like 2 and
2.2.
a quarter. It's nuts.
2 3/4. Wow.
Yeah.
So you could get a much better rate if it's in your personal name, but for liability purposes and
Yeah.
just for our business and taxes, yeah, put it in the business.
Okay.
So for someone like me who's trying to get
That would be a
first
great thing
house
for you to
hack,
put. You could definitely put
Yeah.
that in your personal, and it'd be a
Yeah.
really good. You'd get even better terms.
Yeah, if your house I can do 30-year fixed stuff, it's the best deal right
Best,
now
yeah.
out there. Gross monthly rent,
So we got 1,500 aside, so 3,000 plus rubs, 3,100.
3,100. And as I learned from our past videos, this is monthly rent, not
Monthly.
annual rent, right, guys?
Otherwise, you'd have a
So-
200% return.
And for us novices, rubs meaning
Is the ratio utility bill back system. So just all that means in layman terms is we take the water, sewer, trash, the things that I can't put in your actual name. So like electrical and gas is in your name. You pay the utility company
directly.
directly, yeah, every month. So water, sewer, trash is going to be in the company name, in the owner's name, and so we just bill that back
Gotcha.
per tenant. So if it was a 4 unit, we split it up into 4.
And it's variable.
That's right. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
as it comes in.
That's right.
It can mean a lot of times, a lot of people just, they'll do a flat fee. Hey, it's $75 a month because just to keep it simple, like trying to like every month calculate a bill and video up over 4 people, like, that is all the 2 hours worth of time is not worth the like $5 extra you'd make in rent loan.
Yeah, it's roughly about the same per property per month. You know what I mean?
No,
So it's not exact, but
Okay.
on
But
a
it
duplex
usually
like
works
this,
out.
like on this duplex, we're just doing 50 per unit per month. And on larger apartments, sometimes if the gas isn't included, they could go to 100, or if parking's included. It depends on the neighborhood and the property.
No.
So month income, we have the rents up here. I guess if we would be correct
yeah.
this time, we could do.
And if it doesn't have, and the laundry's included in each unit, so other income would be like laundry or parking. But because it's just a duplex, that's standard and comes with, and it comes
On-site
with the garage.
storage, if
That's
you have
right,
that.
exactly.
Okay.
That'd be other income.
And electricity, not on here because it's separately
That's
metered, right?
And there's no common area.
Water, sewer, you're paying that.
All right.
I mean, what, $100 a month?
It's maybe a little bit more, 150.
PMI is none. That's your mortgage insurance. Now, if you're buying an FHA house hack loan, you're paying
That's
PMI.
right.
Garbage, this is in Denver, so there's none because that's including the property
That's right.
taxes. HOA, none. Insurance,
Put that on there. What did you have?
$155 a month.
Great.
Quick question on the HOAs. So if an area does have HOAs, does that affect some of the other like maintenance, repair?
So if you have an HOA, normally that would include like the roof, that would include trash, include recycling. It could include water.
Yeah.
It depends on the HOA, but it would include some of these utilities.
And as a property owner, you would set that because HOA is in fact another sort of management entity for the property, right?
Well, it depends if you like buy a complex and make the HOA.
Yeah.
yeah, you'd be the HOA owner. But if you, for example, like I'm under contract on just a single unit condo in Aurora right now.
Noted. Okay.
Which is like part of 350 units in this big complex.
And they have their COA or condo association.
Yeah, so I pay $349 a month to HOA there. But that includes its Terrance, so like water, sewer, trash, snow removal. So a lot of utilities go down. Taxes are cheaper, insurance is cheaper, repairs and maintenance cheaper because I'm paying the roof and the exterior stuff through there.
And the tenants wouldn't pay that?
No, that's just baked in the rent.
No. Oh,
yeah.
okay.
At least here in Denver, not other markets.
Chris, you're under contract on a deal, and we're not doing a deal analysis on it? You're holding out on us? Dude, I'm not happy. I'm talking to BiggerPockets.
Well, it's not near as exciting as this.
I'm not happy, dude. I'm not happy. I'm wait till I talk to Zach.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
The drama, I like
Dude,
this.
we need this on the ride-along show, dude. Come on.
it's not nearly as sexy as this stuff, though. Other monthly expenses. Sorry, that answer your question?
It does.
Oh, cool.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah. And some investors love HOAs, some hate them.
Maintenance.
All pros and cons.
Yeah, we got maintenance. So since we are doing a light remodel here, this would be more like in the 75 a month range, and I'm wondering where he put that.
So he put in here 35 times 4. So that's $70 a unit, so $140 a month.
Yeah, I like that. So we're real close.
Yeah. Oh, we got to do the percent again.
Oh, geez.
All right. 140 divided by 3,000. So 4.6%.
So real close to that 5 we were talking about.
Yeah. And then do you separate capital expenditures on these smaller properties?
Yeah, absolutely. So $250 per side per year. So
right.
$500 a year divided by 12 is like $50 a month divided by the 3,000.
So that's 18,000. So 500 divided by 18,000. 2.7?
It's a little higher.
You want to keep it there? Or?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Well, you don't have as much economies of scale.
Right. That's exactly right.
6% for PM fees, right?
6%, yeah.
Vacancy, we can do 5% on here.
Yeah, we would do 5, yeah.
Yeah. And we'll just do.
This is conservative too, right? I mean,
Well, it's appropriately. I like to say appropriately conservative because, you could do. A lot of people are doing 3, but in this area, and I just don't. Honestly, I don't know this area that well, but it is a duplex, so it's like 800 square feet a side with a garage. I mean, we really shouldn't have much vacancy. 1,500 for that much. We should be full. We're definitely not pushing rents here, but I just like to know that if something bad happens, we're going to pretty much hit our numbers.
Yeah.
So
Especially, hey, I mean, we're in the midst of the COVID pandemic right now. Vacancy may go up a little bit. I would expect it to.
well, and even on some of the other things where it's more percentages than it is fixed numbers.
Yeah.
If you end up spending $225 for your capital expenditure, it still looks more conservative, and it's better to present a deal like, hey, this is what we're estimating as the worst case scenario. If we spend less, then that just makes it a little bit better with a couple bucks that we get.
Yeah, absolutely. I basically, when I'm buying a deal, because I'm not syndicating this, so it's just my own personal capital, I just don't want to lie to myself. So I just want to say, hey, what is most likely going to happen? And let me be on the safe side of that so that I see if this is a deal I want to do or not.
Noted.
And put it, making numbers that look better just to make me incentivize me to do a deal. I'm just like fooling myself.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to be somewhat realistic and on the safe side of realistic of, hey, what is most likely going to happen, and let me err on the safe side of that quadrant.
Yeah, I agree. I like to write conservative. It's always better to be pleasantly surprised than
be like, what was I thinking
damn
buying
surprised.
this? Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, I have
You're
stories.
only hurting yourself, by trying to be aggressive and make numbers. I easily could have put $1,750 here on rents aside, but why would I do that?
And I see some people, they want to make their spreadsheets look sexy or really good.
Because this is for an investor, right? So you're showing this to somebody, so you want him to have a little bit more confidence in. Yeah.
So I mean, we have clients that they're basically like 0% vacancy. Great, but over 20 years, we'll probably be.
You're gonna have to pitch a perfect game.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, and I mean, just as a warning to the new guys like me, when you're talking about repair and maintenance, I have made the mistake of saying, I can learn how to fix a toilet.
Right.
And I don't, I can,
I'll go fix that.
I can fix that out. What is wiring? This is 220 volts. That's the thing, right? Like, and say like, so my maintenance costs are like,
need a maintenance expense.
I'll pay myself. I'll pay myself,
YouTube, I can figure out how to do that.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Please pay somebody.
Yes. All right.
3% income growth. 3% property value growth, 3% expense growth.
Yeah, just cancel each other out.
5% sales.
Yeah. I like that. Dun, 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 dun.
All right. So we're going to focus on the refinance per period here, since that's the most important one. If we actually make these reports public, we'll put those to the podcast or out to the show notes. I'm sorry, on the YouTube video. But let's look down here at this 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, 20, 30-year table. So nothing dramatic from year 1 to year 2, because there's no major rehab costs. You have a really quick turnaround time for getting it, fixed up and rented. But let's go at year 2, kind of get that first full year snapshot of your stabilized expenses here. So we're saying total income is about $38,000 for the year, because we're also assuming we're in year 2, so we're assuming that 3% rent bump. Your expenses have gone up as well by 3%. Well, not from year 1 with the other stuff, but your fixed expenses have. Operating expenses have gone up by that 3%. This is your refinance mortgage right here. So you can see 3.85% a year is much cheaper than 8% a year. Your cash flow, $3,200 a year, or about $1,600 per door, which sounds about right to me for that.
Yeah.
What's going on there? Property value at $530, so it's gone up some in value based on 3%. Now, your return is $100,000 if you sell it in year 1, or I'm sorry, year 2, you would sell it, you walk with $100,000, or you're making $3,000 plus year in cash flow. So good rental and a good sell exit strategy.
And those are the 2 boxes that I like to check. My brother and I were just looking at a deal in Des Moines, and I was like, listen, on a cash flow basis, it makes a lot of sense, but on the equity, if we had to sell or needed to sell, it doesn't. And for me, at this point in my life, I just have to check both those boxes. Mm-hmm. I need to know that I have the equity in case something happened, I needed to sell, that we would at least cover our basis and be good and make money. And then I want to know that every month we're cash flowing. And so that was why this deal made sense. Even though it's small and people are like, why are you wasting your time with a duplex? It literally is going to take 4 or 5 days to rehab. We'll run it up really quickly. It's going to be a low maintenance property in an area that I like long term. We have some other properties around there. So from economies of scale and just from a deal staying alone, by itself on the cash flow and equity, return profile for me, it made a lot of sense.
Starting off, you have to decide cash flow or equity. Which way would you go?
If I'm starting off, I'd even be more conservative. I want to check both of those boxes. I'd want to know that I'm going to have equity and cash flow, because you never know what's going to happen. If you're starting out and it's your first deal, you want to know that if you had to sell, you're still going to make money, and every month you're cash flowing. So I would not deviate from that. I just say at this point, I'm even more aggressive on, I need a certain amount of equity, when I say that. If I had to sell it and make 20 grand, I just wouldn't do it. This is, each side I could make 50 grand. So it's worth my time. But I think for newbie investors, I think you want to check both of those boxes. You want to know that you have equity, go to bed knowing, hey, I have equity in this property and I have cash flow every month. And net cash flow.
I agree with that. One thing on there, cash from the bank for unexpected stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, because I've seen a lot of people get pinched on that. Oh, this property is great, but if you can't get through a rough spot because a tenant destroys the place, or a tenant can't pay rent for a few months, or
a pandemic,
or a pandemic hits. I mean, great, if you don't have that $10,000, $20,000 set aside for a duplex like this, you could be hurting, and then you're selling, and now you're short sale, foreclosure. And so,
cash in the bank is key,
and cash in the bank for the rainy day fund.
Yeah, don't overextend yourself and put all of your liquidity and wait for next month's paycheck to have money in the bank. Yeah, you got to make sure you have reserves. Do you have a percentage of reserves? Like if you're buying a $500,000 deal, do you have a percentage, or how are you looking at reserves?
The rule of thumb I use is I do a minimum of 6 months PITI, so principal, interest, taxes, insurance, or $10,000, whatever one is greater. So
minimum of $10,000.
Yeah, minimum of
$10,000 per property.
I'm buying this condo right now I talked about earlier. Yeah. I mean, it's $1,000 a month for everything. It's really cheap operating expenses. So it would be $6,000, but I put $10,000 in the account to just round up.
Nice.
Because water heater in a condo or AC in a condo is still $1,000 or $2,000.
Yeah.
So approximately $500,000. You're looking at what, 2%? Because if we're talking 10,000 on a 500,000, right?
Yeah, I don't do percent on there. I do like 6 months worth of like mortgage and
An actual number.
yeah.
Like if it was vacant for 6 months,
yeah, that's
how much do I
use
have to cover it?
But for bigger properties like he does, very different on underwriting. But my stuff is I'm personally buying like 4 units and less right now. My clients were doing smaller stuff as well, so we're doing that like 6 months or $10,000 as a quick rule of thumb.
Yeah, like if a tenant did a bunch of damage and it was vacant for 3 or 4, I like that. 6 months of operating reserves. And right now, buying multifamily, they're making you put 12 months into an account. So that's really conservative.
Yeah.
Great. That's good stuff.
Yeah, I think that was good. All right, so this time we came prepared. We have the BP coupon code to get these calculators.
And Timothy is going to sign up as a pro member here shortly. So 20% off the pro membership, put in Ride Along BP as the code. And then in the bookstore, we get 10% off, Ride Along 10.
Okay.
So we got the pro membership discount to get access to all the calculators and all the other benefits of being a pro member. And on every book in the bookstore, 10% off.
Tim, you signing up right now?
I mean,
he has it open.
In the show notes, right?
It's in the show notes.
No, just give me your credit card right now. I'll take care of it for you, man.
We're going to give it out live. His credit card number is.
And your social and your mother's maiden name, all right?
Absolutely. Yeah, let's just get it done.
Sure, everything.
Awesome, guys. Well, this was good. If you guys have questions on there, leave the comments to show notes. Terrance and I are doing some YouTube lives as well. Ask questions. We love talking about the stuff. Guys, thanks a lot.
Absolutely.
Ife and Timothy, out.